Okay, welcome everyone. This is Photoshop training. My name is Jakub Stadnik, and this Photoshop training is organized in collaboration with Manene Cultural Trust. So thank you very much for that opportunity to share my knowledge and my skills with you. And I hope that it will be very useful for everyone who is going to participate in this training, but also for everyone who is going to watch the recording. Before we start, I have just a few announcements. So the structure for today is that we will start with the most basic fundamentals. We will have about 1 hour training. In the middle, after 1 hour, there will be a very short break where you can just go to the toilet or you can drink some water. And after that, there will be the second part, 1 more hour, when we will continue the training. And at the end, there will be Q&A session when if you have any more questions or something wasn't clear enough, then you can just let me know. And at the end, I'm very happy to answer any questions. Another thing is that if during the training, if there are any questions, please feel free to just put them in the comments, or you can just raise your hand. There is an option to do this on the Zoom, and then I will stop for a second, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And if you are lost, please just let me know so I can help you to get on track. Another thing, if I'm also going too fast, because I'm using Photoshop like for the last 10 years, and I was using it like for 6 years when I was in school, and after that at university, I am very familiar with that. So if I'm going too fast, because some things are very obvious for me, please just let me know, and I will just explain it in more simple words. Okay, in case of the knowledge that I'm going to share you, we are going to focus just on the most important things. Some, all of the tools that will actually help you to be fluent in using Photoshop, but there is no need to learn everything at once because that would take a lot of time. It's like learning a new language. You don't have to know the whole dictionary, all the words of the different language in order to speak it. It's enough to know like about 1000 words so you can communicate. So this is what are we going to do today? We will focus on the most important, basic, simple things. Okay, going further, I recommend to you if you have a separate device, for example, your phone, it would be useful to watch our training on your phone and use Photoshop on your computer. It will be just easier for you to at the same time be able to do the exercise on your computer and see me on a separate screen. But if you cannot do this, that's completely fine. If you're watching the recording, then you can, of course, just stop the recording, do the exercise, come back to the video. Okay, in the process of this training, you are very welcome to exercise in your own way, to experiment. So I will show you the way how I'm doing the things. But if you are curious, the more you experiment, the better. If you have any water with you, that would be useful, so you stay hydrated. And very important thing, what do we actually use Photoshop for? So in general, Photoshop, it is a very powerful tool that you can use for different types of designs. So for example, you can make your own posters, you can edit the photos when you want to make them look much better or you want to make some changes. If you want to correct any imperfections, you can also use Photoshop to create more artistic designs, create your own collages, for example. It is also very useful for marketing purposes. If you are creating any visual ads, something that you're going to share on your social media or as a part of your business. And Some people don't know it, but actually Photoshop can be also used to edit some videos. But in here, today we will mostly focus on the things like photos and designs that are not including any time. So we will focus on things like posters. Okay, and at the end, there will be a very short, small homework. So I will engage you, I will invite you to apply some of the skills that you've learned today so you can try the things by yourself. And if you also have any designs that you've created, you don't have to focus just on that homework. Uh, I would be happy to see those designs before this session 2 that will be on Friday, so you can send them to me and I'll be very happy to discuss them and give you some feedback. Okay, so just to remind you, this training is a part of collaboration with Man and Cultural Trust. I'm very happy about it, that there is this opportunity. And now I think we are ready to start. Please let me know if there are any questions. Anything before we start? Okay, so I think that's everything. So now I'm sharing my screen, so you will see uh, everything that I'm talking about. And in the corner, you should be able to see my face. Okay. We don't need this. We don't need this. So for now, yeah. So if you open Photoshop, this is what you should see. Uh, if you've ever used it before, uh, down there you will see some of the old designs that you were working on. And here are things that you can open. So if you've never used it before, let's start from the very beginning. Let's start with the simple things. At the beginning, you can click the button, the blue button on the left saying New File. So when you click it, Photoshop will show you a window where you can choose the format that you will start with. So there are different types. You can like do this like a photo, print, art illustration. Basically, what is changing is the size of your design that you're working on. So at the beginning, with the most simple approach, I recommend you to just go to the print and then you can choose A4. If you look there, there are like different sizes, A5, A6, A3. But for now, let's start with A4. And here on the right, you can change some of the settings. So for example, if you want to give the title of your design, we can right now call it Photoshop Training. Photoshop Training. Okay. And here you have the size of it. So here we have it in millimeters, and it's basically in the size of the A4 paper. But if you want to change it, you can just change the measurements in here, or also here you can edit how big you want your paper to be. And here you can change the orientation. It can be vertical or horizontal. For today's purposes, I'm going to choose the horizontal one. Here is another very important thing, which is resolution. Most of the time, you're actually not going to pay much attention to it, but basically what it is the number of pixels per inch square. So in one, in that case, in 1 inch square, there are 300 pixels. The more pixels are there, the better quality is going to be your design. So 300 is like the optimal number. This is usually what graphic designs work with. You don't need to change it, but if you ever want to just make a smaller file, you can just make this number smaller, or if you want to have like a very, very good quality, then you can make this number bigger. But usually there's no need to change it. And here are the other options that for the basic purposes, we don't need to discuss them. Okay, so once you chose your A4 paper, we can click Create. And here now you are welcomed with the interface of Photoshop. Okay, so let's start with the most simple things. Let me just look around. Yeah, I think we will start with the toolbar on the left. Here are the most popular tools that you are going to work with. Some of them help you to select the object in different ways. You can change the colors, but I think it will be best to explain them by using them. So in order to make some changes, let's upload in here some of the images that I shared with you in the Photoshop training folder. So I have it on my computer here. If you've already downloaded, that's very good. You should have access to all of those images. If you didn't, then that's completely fine. You can do this right now very quickly, or you can just use your own images. I don't mind. It's completely up to you. So for this video, I will choose this. Okay, so very important thing. This is very obvious for me, but it might not be obvious for you. How do you actually add the files to your Photoshop design? When you go to your files, you just click the image that you want, and then you just hold it and you drag it and you drop it here. If you drop it like in the middle of your canvas that you have in here, your image will be automatically added in here. Okay, so right now it is in this form where you can change the size of it. Like right now you can see I can make it smaller, I can make it bigger. You can also change the like if you want to make it very long or if you want to make it very high. But usually you actually don't want to change the ratio of those walls. So in that case, you can just hold Shift on your computer, and as you can see, I will have the same ratio all the time. So I will make it small like this right now. I will move it to the middle. And once you have it as you want, just click Enter. And now when you clicked Enter, now you are able to edit your design. Okay, so let's start with those things. But first, I think it will be very useful for you to actually know how to move around. So if you want to look at the details of your design, then you can just hold Control on your keyboard, and on your mouse you should have this little roller. So if you move it up, oh sorry, my mistake. Don't hold Control, hold Alt. So there is this key saying ALT. So if you hold it and you move your roller, you'd be able to move close and you will be able to move far away. So this is one way to moving close and far away. The other way of doing it is using this zoom tool in here. So basically, you can just, as you can see here, it's set on plus. So you can just click plus, or if you want to go far away, you can click minus. Makes sense. And if you want to like move much faster, you can just hold your left key and you can, for example, select an area. You can move like close here. You hold it and you just move far and away. And depending on where you have your mouse, this is where your zoom is going to move. So right now, even if I'm using this tool and I'm holding Alt, then depending where I move my mouse, this is where my screen is going to move. Okay, so the first tool. The first tool is this move tool. Basically, as it says, it is used to move the object that you have. So right now I can hold it and I can move it around wherever I want. So I can put it on the left corner, the right corner. You basically use different objects and sometimes you need to change their location. This is what this tool is for. The next tool that we have on the left is the selection. So here the things are a little bit different. So let's say right now I'm zooming in. If you want to move this cup T somewhere else, you can just select it that way. And now, sorry, it's not tea, it's coffee. Yeah, it's coffee. Yeah, you can just select it right now. And very important thing, remember, like if you want to move it, then you have to come back to the move tool. And now you are able, oh, why is it not moving? Oh, I know, okay. I know why it is not moving. So this is a little bit complicated thing, but it's not that complicated. The reason that I cannot move just this part right now is because right now this image is a smart object. This is how it is called. In order to change it, we need to click the right button, right click, and there is this option. Where is it? Oh yeah, so right now it is, oh yeah, rasterize layer. So if you click it, rasterize layer, then right now I am able to move it. So yeah, if you ever meet such problem, this is how you do this. But in order to find this rasterize layer, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So how you can do this in a different way, I will show you just in a second. So how do I come back? This is the same as with all the other programs. You can just click Ctrl and Z. Oh, oh yeah, okay, it works. Ctrl Z, and you are going to come back. So now, as you can see in my history, I just came back one step. So I just undo the move. And now when I click again, Ctrl Z, as you can see in here, I undone this rasterize layer. So now it's again a smart object. Okay, so if you ever meet that problem and you don't know how to make it a normal layer, then you can just go to the brush, and if you try to paint, oh sorry, not brush. It used to work. Right now, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, you can go to the eraser. If you try to erase something, then it will actually tell you this smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. So if you just click OK, right now, again, your thing can be moved. So some of you might actually think, why does it work in that weird way? Like, why do I have this problem? I will tell you right now. So right now, let's come back to this to the smart object. Right now, I have this smart object. Why is it important to have? So let me just make it smaller. Uh, yeah, if you are wondering how I made it smaller, so basically, when you click on your image, so I just clicked on it, in order to transform the image, you hold Control and T, and then you can just leave it. Control T, which means transformation. So now I am able to change the size. And again, if you want to keep the ratio, you just hold the shift and you are able to rotate it and do some other funny stuff. But for now, I just want to make it a little bit smaller. And before you use any other tools, make sure that you click Enter so that you came back to this normal state. Because if you are like still in the transformation mode, then you will have problems with editing it. You won't be able to actually do this. So again, just to repeat you click on it, you click Control T, and you are able to transform it. And now, once you're happy with the size and with the rotation, you click Enter. So let me just copy this image. In order to copy the image, you make sure that you click on it, and as you work with like any document or on other programs, it works the same. You just click Control C. This works for the Windows. On the Mac, I think you use Command C. So now I clicked Control C, and right now my image is copied. But in order to put the copy next to it, you have to click Control V. So right now I have the second image. And now I will explain to you what's the difference between the smart and the rasterized object. So this one on the right, it will be the smart one, and this one on the left, it will be rasterized layer. So in order to do this, again, you can just click here, rasterize layer, as you can see, or sometimes it's just faster to take the eraser and then you are asked to change it. Okay, so now this is rasterized. As you can see, there's no this little icon, and this is the smart one. The little icon is here. We cannot see any difference right now, but how it actually changed. So it changed in a way that, how to explain it to you? The one on the right, here you have like information on what is shown on the image. And whatever you make with the this image, you are kind of only working on the surface of it. You are not changing the image itself. You are just changing the way how you see it, let's say it. So right now, if I, for example, want to paint on top of it, I am actually not not painting on the image itself, but I'm like painting next to it. But if I click on this one and I want to paint on it, then as you can see, it actually happened on the image. So another thing right now, if, for example, you are changing the way how it looks, for example, we can change the contrast. Here is the smart object, and I can click image and adjust, and here is brightness contrast. So again, you click image, adjustment, brightness contrast. So now I am able to make it very bright and change the contrast, as you can see. So now let's make it, yeah, let's make it very bright. So here you can see the preview, how it's changing. In case if you ever by accident turn off the preview, you won't be able to see how it changes until you click OK. So it's useful to click the preview. And this button is here that if you want to see like before and after, you can just compare it. So once you are happy, you just click OK. So now I changed this image and I'm going to do the same with this. So again, you go to image, adjustment, and here is brightness. And I make it bright as well. And I click OK. So what you can see is actually that this paint tool that I just used, it's a part of the image. So this is also changing. Like in here, this is not a part of the image. And right now, as you can see in here on the right, what you can see on the right, this is called layers. This image, this is that one. This is a rasterized layer, and whatever changes I'm going to make here, they are becoming a part of that file. So I'm kind of damaging, or maybe not damaging, I'm transforming the file. But here on the right, the file is not changed, the original file is not changed, but the transformations are kind of happening around that file. So for example, if I ever want to come back to the previous version, I can just click here and I can see how it looked like before without that filter. But in here, if I look at it and I want to turn off that filter, I cannot do. I kind of turn off the whole layer. I can also turn off here the whole layer, but here I can also like turn off this filter. So this is one example of what is the difference between them. Like the smart object, you can like always like see the original file, but another, and I think it's much more important difference is that, for example, right now, if I want to make those images smaller, so again, I just click Control T, which is transformation. And now I can make this image very small. So it is somewhere there very small. And I want to make the same with this one. So I click Control T and Adobe Photoshop is telling me smart filters applied to this layer will be turned off temporarily while the transformation is being previewed. They will be applied after committing the transformation. So you just click OK. What does it mean? That for now, it came back to the normal state. All of the transformations, they are kind of kept in the background. So your computer doesn't have to process that much information. Okay. And I can turn it on over here. Okay, so here I have those files, very, very small. Here it is on the left, and here it is on the right. As you can see, both of them right now look very different because mm, what is okay? This is like another important thing about Photoshop. But before I explain this, let's finish with explaining what is the difference between Smart Object and the rasterize layer. So right now I want to make them bigger again. And here you will see a very big difference. Now, if I want to make this one very big, you see, uh, basically you had those pixels and Photoshop kind of transformed those pixels a little bit in order to make this image a little bit kind of sharper. But all the information that was in here was put into that very small image, and those few pixels that were there, right now, they've become just bigger, and this image changed like a lot. You lost most of the quality of that image. But if we look at this smart object, now I again click Ctrl T, I have the same notification, and now I just, oh yeah, in case like if you want to see what's going on exactly, I'm just holding one of those buttons. If you're not able to click it, like for some reason your mouse is not catching it, then just try to change the size and now you should be able to see it. So I want to make it bigger and I can just go far away. Okay, so there you go. Here on the right, no quality was lost. I can like keep coming back to the original file. But on the left, all the quality that was there, I lost it. Uh, and I am not able to come back to the previous states. I mean, you can do this when you look to your history, and you have to like click many times Ctrl Z. But everything that you've done like after that, all of that progress will be lost. Um, so let's come back to where we finished. So you hold Control, Shift, and Z. And you keep clicking Z, and it takes you to this moment when you were applying your changes at the end. So why does it, what does it happen? The reason that something on like this on the left is happening is that Photoshop is a program that works with pixels. Mm, there are like different types of approaches of making graphic designs, but two, the most important ones, is working with pixels and with the vertex. I think it's called that way. So those vertex mm, is like a mathematical thing. I'm looking right now if I would be able to actually show you an example of that. Mm, okay, maybe I'll just do this another way, another time. But vertex is like no matter how much you zoom in, you will be always seeing a perfect quality because your design is not made of little boxes, but it's made of shapes that are explained by mathematics. But in here, in Photoshop, those images and like all the things that you use, they are made of little pixels. So if we zoom in very, very, very close, you can see that this image is made of those little, little pixels. And because when I was changing the size, uh, basically those pixels just got simplified, they've connected with each other, and when I wanted to make it bigger, it just happened like this. So that's why Photoshop, it is good to be used for like posters, like A3 or a little bit bigger, or like anything that is smaller. For example, you can use it for business cards or like social media posts, things that you share on your computer, things that are relatively small. Because usually you're not zooming in that close. If you're looking at something from far away, it looks very good. But if you want to, for example, print this image like in this size of the banner, like very, very big, then that would be a problem because someone who would stand next to this banner, they would see all that pixels. So that's why Photoshop is great for like everything that is not bigger than your like television, let's say. Otherwise, you would have to make like a very, very huge quality of this, and that would take a lot of storage. Okay, coming back to the simple things. Those were like the information that was very important to make you aware of in order to understand what Photoshop is. But now let's go to the simple things. Mm, so I think it will be best if we come back to the original image. So for now, I can just delete this one. If you want to delete an image, you can do this with Control X. Oh, actually not Control X. You can just click backspace and it should disappear. Or if you want to do this the other way, you can just click here, right, and there should be somewhere delete the layer. Oh yeah, there it is. Delete the layer. And it's asking you, do you want to delete the layer? Yes, I do. And you can also do this another way. Now I'm clicking Control Z. You can just hold the layer and you can move it to the rubbish bin and it will also be deleted. Okay, the layers. If you are still wondering what are they, I'm going to show it to you right now. So for now, we don't need this smart object. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Enter. So the layers are like, let's say, the way how you order different images, different objects. So now one of my objects is this image. Another object that I have is this dot. And now just very quickly, I can make another object, which will be like this. And I can also make another object, which will be this. Oh, and here actually, yeah, here is very important what layers are for. Because in my mind, I was thinking that I want to create three different objects that are independent from each other. But as you can see, all of that was happening on that one layer, which is called layer one. So if I want to move the red square, red rectangle, I'm actually moving all of those uh, objects because they are all on the same layer. So that can be like, I mean, I can just deal with it. I can use the selection tool and I have to select it and then come back to the move tool. And now I am able to move it. But all of them are like in the same layer. Uh, so if I want to, for example, make this one to disappear for a second, all of them are disappearing because they're on the same layer. So in order to have like independent objects, what you can do, you just click this button on the right, which is plus, and you have a new layer. We cannot see any difference because this layer is completely transparent. But if I make like a new square, I'm going to explain to you like how to do this later, but right now I'm just making this fast so you can see what's going on. Because I'm working on a new layer, right now this rectangle is moving independently from all the other layers. This one is one layer that are connected, and this one is an independent one as well, so I can move it without moving everything else. Okay, another important thing about layers is that you can change their order. So as you can see right now, on the top, we have blue, under it there is red, and under it there is this coffee image. So that means that this red thing is in front of this coffee image, and that this blue, oh, we have person coming, okay, and this blue rectangle is, as you can guess, it's in the front of those two images. If you want to change the order, for example, if you want this red rectangle to be in front of everything else, you just click this layer in here and you move it to the top. So now it is in front. And now I can move like the blue rectangle behind. So I can do this like this. And now it is behind. So we cannot see it if I put it behind. Okay. I'm going to delete those for now because I don't need them. And now I can show you a funny trick. Actually, it's not a trick. It's something that sometimes frustrates so many people who are learning how to use Photoshop. Because right now, if I am on this layer with the blue rectangle, and I'm just selecting this part, let's say that I want to delete those two objects, and I can click backspace, and instead of deleting this, I actually deleted the part of my blue rectangle. And you're like, hey, what's going on? Why is it happening? That's happening because you are on a different layer. You are working right now on the layer with the blue rectangle. If you want to delete those images, you have to work on the layer where is this orange and green object. So now if I click backspace, I'm actually deleting them. So sometimes it's difficult to notice because like right now I was just moving my object somewhere here and I think, okay, I want to delete this. I'm selecting this and you are clicking backspace, backspace. Why is it not working? I'm clicking it like 100 times and you are like getting pissed off and like you're getting frustrated. This is because you are just deleting like this transparent part of the layer with the blue rectangle. So you're kind of deleting nothing. But if you want to delete this, you just click that layer and you are able to delete this. Or another way, you can just click this. So this layer will be automatically selected because you've clicked on it. And now I am able to delete it. Okay. Before I continue, I just want to ask the person who has unmuted microphone. There are like little noises, so if you can please mute yourself, that will be useful. Okay, I'm going to continue. Moving forward, here are those layers. Sometimes you will have a lot of layers. So what you can use it for example, if I have like many rectangles, and make sure that if you want them to be independent, you just make it on the new layer. So you click plus button. Now you are working on this new layer and you can create a new rectangle. So let's imagine that you have like hundreds of those uh, rectangles, and it's like so difficult to use it because right now I can like copy them. So you can click one and click Control C, Control V, and now this rectangle was copied. As you can see, it's in the center, but for some reason we cannot see it. That's because it's behind. So there it is. So I can do this like a few times, Control V. I have like so many of those rectangles, and now it's really difficult to navigate all of those images because there are like so many of them. There you go. So what you can do, you can just select the one on the top, and depending how many of them you want to select, for example, I want to select all the green and red ones. You can make it one by one with holding Control, and this is the same way how you unselect them. Or you can just select the first one, and you can select the last one by holding Shift. All of them are selected. And now, for example, I want to make all of them disappear without doing it one by one because there are so many of them. So you just drag it, and this icon is to create a group. So if you hold it and drop it here, now I have a group with green and red rectangles. And if I click here, I can just make them all disappear and appear. And in case of all of the layers, all of the files that you have in here, including the groups, if you double click on the name, you are able to change the name of it. So for example, this one I can call green and red. Enter. Okay. And the group, if you click this little arrow, you can open it and you can see what is inside. Yeah. Okay. So now I close it. And as you can see here, we have this selection. And like, if you ever like don't know how to turn it off, and if you get like angry, then the way to turn off like the selection, you have to come to this selection tool and you just click like somewhere else. Okay, so for now, let's turn off all the rectangles that we have. We don't need them. We can even like delete some of them. So again, you can just select a few at the time and you can move it to the rubbish bin. Let's move it into the front. Okay, like each of those tools has like a few little surprises. Like you can use it in so many different ways, but for now we are not going to discuss all of that because that will just be unnecessary complication for now. In a second, we will make a small break, but before that, I will present to you quickly this tool. So here we have, oh wait, let's come back. Yeah, coming back for a second to this tool. If you hold it, like click it and like hold your mouse for a few seconds, or you can like click and just drag your mouse like with still holding your mouse. You will just see it. It can happen like intuitively. You can select like different modes, like different ways of selecting an object. So for example, here we are using the rectangle, and this is the most popular way of selecting objects, or you can use the ellipse. So you are doing it like this, and if you just not hold your mouse anymore, you will have that selection. And if you want to make a perfect circle, you just hold Shift and you have perfect circle. And then you are able to, oh, it's smart object. Remember about it. Chip, chip. Now I am able to move it like this. So here are like different ways to selecting it, but sometimes we will have much more complicated shapes. That's why those two tools are very useful. This is lasso tool. It has also different types. So now we are going to quickly get familiarized with those three. Lasso tool, this one, is the most basic one. Now we can, for example, zoom in here, and let's say that I want to select this cookie. So if you click once, oh, why is it not happening? Oh, okay, I know. Because you have to like hold it and like keep moving your mouse. So as you can see, I can do this like manually like this. And then when you're at the end, you just release the click button and you have this image selected. Now I am able to move it around. So you can try it by yourself. Oh yeah, and here actually those things. Okay, so I'm going to quickly explain it to you because that's quite useful to know. So usually what you work with is just this first option where you select just one object. Now I can select just this spoon. Now I can select just this cookie. But let's say that you want to move both of them at the same time. This is when you move here. So basically it shows that you can select like a bigger area without deleting the previous selection. So now, because I'm here, I can select the cookie and the spoon together, and now I am able to move them together. Now let's say that I want to, for example, correct my selection, and you see, oh, where's my selection? Remember, you have to come back to the selection, and if you want to, for example, delete a part of it, delete or like unselect a part of it, you just click here. And for example, right now, oh yeah, sorry, I'm doing it with the ellipse. So if you've done any mistakes, like that's fine. You can just click Ctrl Z. Here's the lasso. So I'm clicking here, and now I can unselect a part of the spoon. So this is the area that I want to be unselected. So as you can see, it disappeared. So for example, I can unselect a half of the cookie. And now I have only this, yeah? You can see it. And coming back to this selection tool, sometimes you might need to use this. where you, when you make like a new selection, it will select only the area that is in common with the new selection and old selection. So for example, right now, when I make this selection, pick, only this is selected, and this disappeared. But actually, that's a good question why it disappeared. It shouldn't disappear. Oh yeah. I don't know why it disappeared. But now I've tried it again and it works properly. Okay, so let's come back. As you can see, this lasso tool, it is very, very unprecise. I mean, you have to be very patient in order to make it in a precise way. Uh, that's why there are those things where you can be more precise in an easier way. So this one, polygonal lasso tool, instead of, I will show you. Let's come back for a second to the lasso tool. Let's say that I want to select this edge of this desk. That would be very difficult to make perfectly straight line. And for example, you sneeze, a psik, and you have something like this, and you have to start from the beginning, or your hand is like shaking, and then before you even come back, you already have like an awful selection, yeah? And then if you move it, like you see all of those awful mistakes. That's why there is this tool, which is called polygonal lasso tool. And if you just click once, you are able to move uh, the selection line wherever you want. Oh yeah, so important thing. Let's say we are here and you are not able to see the whole desk. If you just move closer to the edge, Photoshop will move the image for you. You will move around the canvas. So it is a really nice, intuitive way to move around. So now I want to make a perfectly straight line. I click here, and then I click here, and here, and here. And now I have perfectly straight line. So this is what you can use the lasso tool for. The one which has these straight lines. For the objects which are like more geometrical, let's say. And here is also the magnetic lasso tool, which helps you to select an image. So right now I want this to disappear. That's why I click here. And once I start selection, this will disappear. So let's look somewhere where, okay, for example, this one. This is a very irregular shape, and it will be a little bit difficult to select with this tool. So that's why I'm going to do this with this magnetic lasso tool. You just click the point where you want to start, and now this is like automatically selecting for you, like by following the edge of an object that you have in here. So for example, right now, if I'm moving a little bit far away, okay, now it's not working properly because it's like still learning. But if you're like moving close enough, it should be able to select your image properly. And you can like always correct it, yeah? So if you want to change it, you can just go like this. I don't want this part. And it disappeared, yeah? Maybe it will be better to show it like here. So let's try again the lasso tool. And yeah, always remember, pay attention, where do you select object? Because right now, this area is selected. If you, for example, use this, which is like deleting a part of your selection, and you are making like a completely new shape somewhere else, and you're like doing it very, very carefully for like half an hour, okay, maybe not half an hour, for like 30 seconds or whatever, and you're happy with your selection because it was not a part of the previous selection, and you were working on this mode that I just showed you, that's going to completely disappear. Yeah. So that's why it's important to pay attention what you are working on. Okay. And if you ever want to like come back, you can always click Control Z or Control Shift Z. Okay. For now, that's that's it. Let's make a short break because I know it's quite a lot of information. So the break will be approximately 5 minutes. Uh, let's make it like 5 minutes. Um, if I will just quickly go to the toilet as well. If you have any questions, I will be back in a moment, so you can quickly ask some questions before we continue. Okay, so starting from now, 5 minute break. Enjoy. Mm, mm. Okay, I'm back. We are going to continue the second part of this training right now. But before of that, are there any questions or are there any like problems that you've met in the process? I will quickly look at the comments. Uh, I'm not sure if I'm able to actually see the comments right now when I'm sharing. Oh, we have a new person joining. So for a second, I will stop sharing my screen. Mhm. So if there are any questions so far, please feel free to ask me right now. In case of you, Mr. Vincent, we already had the first part of our training right now. So right now I'm going to do the second part. I hope that you are familiar with the Photoshop uh, a little bit already, because to respect the time of people who are going to watch this recording and of people who are here right now, I'm going to just continue. But yeah, if you have later any questions, feel free to let me know. So, if there are no questions so far and there are no comments, then I'm going to continue the second part of the training. Mm, okay, so now I'm sharing my screen again. Uh, you'll see my screen and me. There you go. So now we will look at the rest of the toolbar. In case if some of you just joined right now, what you can do, you can just quickly move your, sorry, you can just quickly move an image from your files to the Photoshop. So for example, right now I can do this with, for example, those three people. You just click enter. You can use the move tool to move it to the center. And you can also do what? Yeah, remember that right now this is a smart object. In order to rasterize it, you just choose the erase tool. Once it's selected, you just click wherever on your object once, and your image will be rasterized. And now you are able to select it as you wish. Sorry, to work on it as you wish. Because to make it clear, actually when it's a smart object like this right now, when I'm selecting it, for example, you are selecting the, let's say that person, troop, 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 and let's say I want to select the legs as well. So my selection doesn't have to be perfect from the very beginning, like I can just later correct it. So now I was using the selection tool, the magnetic lasso, and now in order to correct some of the mistakes, I can use the polygonal lasso tool, which is used for more geometrical shapes, and I can go here in order to delete some of the selection. I can just zoom in and I can just do this, pick, 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 here, 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 and now this part is unselected, and now I can unselect this part. There you go. Here, here, and there you go. So now I have just the person selected. And let's see if I can move it when the image is a smart object. Yeah, as you can see, so now this is the smart object. I am not able to move just this person. So what I have to do, well, one way is to rasterize the layer. So you use the erase tool, or you just do this there, you click, and now you are able to move it. Or let's say that if you want to have two of those people, then you can actually still have this smart object. I just click Ctrl Z 2 times to come back where I've been. And now I can just click Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and that person just appeared here. But in order to do this, you have to move that person. And as you can see, I have two of those people sitting next to each other. So this is how it works. And the new layer, as you can see, it was added as a rasterized layer. So right now, if I want to, for example, let's say, what tools do we already know? We already know the ellipse. Maybe let's come back to a rectangle. If I want to take a part of the back of that person, then here I am able to do this. But here, remember, you have to click on that layer. Here I am actually not able to move just this, because here we have the rasterized layer and here we have the smart object. Okay, moving forward. We can leave one of those. Actually, we can leave four of them. It's quite funny. The other selection tools that we have, there was also this one that I didn't mention at the beginning. It works in a way that you can change the size of it. So now it is quite big. If you are working on the details, you can make it small. If you're working on something big, you can make it very, very big. So now let's say I want to select the person in the middle. So now I just, yeah, that's enough. Let's make it like this. I can select this person like this. So personally, I don't like using it because, again, it is not very, how to say it, it's not very accurate, because it would be difficult to select all of the edges in here. And if you really want to do this, then you can just zoom in a lot, and you can like make it smaller, even smaller. And oh, sorry, it's opacity. Opacity is something different. Uh, yeah, there you go. And you would have to like do it with all the details. And to select something simple like this person, like that can take you like 5 minutes. And if you have something very complicated, to select it, it would take you like half an hour. So that's why instead of using this tool, and here you have like subtract, so you would be subtracting, as you can see. Instead of using this tool, uh, let's see if I'm able to copy it. Yeah, so here it is copied. Instead of using this, it is better to use those tools. Like the magnetic one is the most smart out of them, I would say. But the better ones are those two. Those are like two of my favorites, and I think most of the graphic designers actually love them. But let's look at the object selection tool. I didn't use it for quite a while. Couldn't find an object to select. Oh, sorry. Maybe let's try it that way. Couldn't find, or maybe let's try it that way. Okay, so I see how it works. So it kind of automatically selects the object that you have there. But as you can see, it does it in like a weird way. Oh, actually, you can just click. Let's say if we are able to do this here, like even like I'm using like Photoshop for a very long time, but sometimes you just try tools. You always explore something new and you just see how it works. So let's say that right now I want to select the person in the middle with this tool. Oh, you can just do this like this. Okay. So that's cool. That's actually very useful. And you can select the whole object. So that can save you like a lot of time compared with those. Uh so actually that's good that I explored it right now, because sometimes you just ignore some of the tools because you are getting used to some tools that you already know. So I will present to you how those two work. So let's go with this quick selection tool. And let's focus on the red person right now. But before that, let's just make it fun. And let's copy that lady here. She will sit like in this weird way a little bit, but that's fine. So now this person in the red jumper. And with this quick selection tool, you work with it like a little bit like with the brush, but the Photoshop automatically selects the whole like object, and it's do this in like an intuitive way, so it doesn't always do this perfectly. That's why if you click here on the plus button, you can like keep saying to Photoshop, hey, select this. And for example, it doesn't have the nose, so you can say, hey, select the nose, and it can do this. And then you say, hey, you forgot about this leg. So it's selected. And then you say, hey, but there is also this part of the shoe, and it selects it. So it works in that way. Uh, and then you can do the same with the other leg. It kind of like automatically selects it. But sometimes, let's say you've selected too much. You don't want, for example, this shadow. That's why you can subtract it. You can just delete that part of selection. So you click here and now you are like deleting. So now if you move here, it just deleted this part and you're like just repairing. And now you have this. Yeah. Or let's say, okay, before we move forward, okay, if for example you want work on the details, then you can take this. And for example, yeah, you have to make it very, very small. And you have to work on the plus. So now I selected this and I have that part of his shoe and I can copy and paste that person, Control C, Control V, and now that person is sitting here. Okay, looks a little bit weird, but funny. Uh, but yeah, that's fun. Um, Before I actually show you the magic tool wand, um, or maybe I will actually do this right now. Yeah. So magic tool wand, it is useful for selecting large areas that would be very difficult to select with all the other tools. So for example, if I want just this yellow area, and as you can see, it would be difficult to like select it next to those people. If you just click it once, oh, okay, if you just click it once, you would have selected the whole area. But always remember which layer you're working on. Because right now, I'm working on the layer with just this person. So I got this selected. So I click Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z again, and I want to work on this. So I clicked on this layer, or you can just click here. And now I'm going to work on this layer. So as you can see, now if I go to the magic wand, it makes magic. It selects everything that is similar to the area that you've selected. So as you can see, if we look closer, it goes like this because that person is on that layer, that person is on this layer, that person is on this layer, the three original people, but that person and that person, they are not on this layer, as you can see. Yeah. So this magic wand, it's only looking at this layer. So right now, as you can see, it's selected quite a large area. So for example, if you don't want this branch and you don't want the other color, this is what you can do. Make sure that you come back to this selection. So every time you click it, every time you will have a new selection. In this example, we can click, for example, here, contiguous, or do you say contagious? Contagious, I think you say contagious, yeah. So if I click here again, it will select only the areas that are connected, but because here between this wall and branch there is no connection, it won't be selected. So let's click it. Now you can see it's selected only this and this. And because the branch, they are not connected, it's not selected. But this yellow and this yellow, they are connected, so they are both selected. Why? Because the magic wand see that this is very similar yellow. Basically, it selects everything that is similar. But if you don't want it to be such a big selection, you can just change the tolerance. So here you can make the tolerance like smaller. So you will have only this type of yellow selected. Let's try right now. Okay, so right now it's still selecting a part of it, but here it's much brighter, so it's not selecting it. So let's make the tolerance smaller. You have to sometimes like just keep trying until you will get the effect that you want. Okay, now I've got it. There is like a small problem here because as you can see, that area was too dark. So here are a few ways how you can correct it. One of them is that you can work with different selections together. So you can click here and make sure that you click this option that adds an old selection to the new one. And now I have it selected, yeah? Or what you can do instead, let's come back. You can still work on that tool and just select the darker area because it's like slightly darker. But make sure that you make it on that option and it selected it. So now you are able to move this wall somewhere else, but first we have to rasterize this layer. And now I'm able to move the wall. Or like there are like so many other things that you can do with this wall. So for example, I can change the color of it. If you click on image and then you go to adjustments, and then there is the color balance or hue and saturation. The same option, it can be found here on your right. So if you just click adjustments, and here you have hue and saturation, you can just click it. And now I should be able to change the color of the wall. So you can make it blue, You can make it green, yellow, orange, red, purple. You can change the color as you wish. And you can also change how much color it has, or like it can become like gray. Yeah. Or you can also change how dark or how bright it is. So this is an example of what you can do. And if you ever want to come back, then you can just click Ctrl Z, or you can click this eye and that will disappear. Okay, so for now, let's make it red. Okay. Mm, and let's make it a little bit brighter. So if we look right now here a little bit closer, as you can see, we can see the selection that we've done, and as you can see, it's not perfect. There are a few ways to deal with it, but for now, it's quite like a more advanced thing to do. So for now, let's just ignore it and let's pretend that it's not there. But I think on Friday, once you will be familiar with Photoshop much more, I'll be happy to teach it. Moving forward, here is the crop button. So for example, right now, here I have the area which I don't need, or maybe I want to focus just on those three people. When you click the crop tool, then you can just move it and select what exactly you want to focus on. What do you want to be included in your image and what you want to delete. So you can change the composition. Once you're happy with the composition, you can just click done, or you can click enter, it's the same, and Photoshop will crop all the rest. Very important thing, when you crop the image, everything that was there, it's no longer outside those borders. So for example, right now, if I move this image, as you can see, it was cropped. The same with the coffee, the same with everything else. Now I came back from this, I just clicked Ctrl Z. Before I cropped, I still have this part of an image over there. But once you crop the things, everything that was outside that frame, it will be like completely deleted. So be aware like how you're cropping your stuff. If you, for example, want to have like a smaller image, you want to crop it, but you think that, oh, I might have to move it around in the future, then what you can do, you can just, let's move it red somewhere else. You can just make it smaller, Control T, make it smaller, enter. Then you can crop the image. It will be smaller, enter, and then you can make your original image, this one, bigger again, enter, and you still are able to move it around and still have the other details over there. Okay. Recently, there was a nice innovation in Photoshop because they added the AI options. So one of the ways how this AI works is that right now, if you want to expand your composition, so right now we were like making it smaller. Now I will crop it. So now, because I've made it smaller, everything around it was deleted. But if we expand it here, I can make it much bigger. Right now you can like completely ignore that there is this green thing around. And now if I just click enter, Photoshop right now is thinking what can be around. It takes usually like 5, maybe 10 seconds. And in a moment, we will see the result, what Photoshop is suggesting can be there. There you go. So as you can see, it's pretty impressive. Uh, it's even like added some reflections in here, and it's created the ceiling and the floor. So it can like really be useful. For example, if you have like a small image and you need more space to add the description or add a title or for any other reasons, you can just expand it. And whenever something like this is happening, uh, when there are like different options generated by AI, it always shows you 3 different options at least. So here you can change them like this, or you can also see them on the right in here. So for example, I think this one is pretty cool, and this one is pretty cool, but this one is a little bit weird. So yeah, we can stay with this one. Okay, moving forward. Frame tool creates placeholder frames for images. So right now, let's say that I want to put some images here. To be honest, I'm not using this tool a lot. Like when you're working with Photoshop, usually you use like maybe 10% of the tools, and honestly, you probably use just 1% of all the possibilities that Photoshop gives you. But here, let's try to do this. So as far as I understand it, right now, if I select this area, I can make it a little bit bigger. And I should be able to put an image in here. So let's put this city. Yeah, this is exactly what's happening. And if I want to make it bigger, Control T, like this. And I can choose it, enter. Okay. For me personally, I don't use this tool very often, but in case of all of them, that's a very useful thing to know. If you just hold your mouse, it gives you like a short description of what does this tool makes. If you want to, you can just click watch quick video and it will explain to you how you can use it. Or there are so many YouTube tutorials that will explain to you different tools or the problems that you meet. So at the end of this session, you can ask me some questions, but later when you will be experimenting with Photoshop on your own, what you can do, you can just literally type your problem with Photoshop in YouTube and just mention that it's a Photoshop. And most probably there will be many videos telling you how you can solve your problem. Okay, right now the next tool is this, how do you call it? Let's see, eyedropper tool. So if, for example, I really like this green over here, make sure that you're on the proper layer. Uh, yeah, it should be this one. So I've just selected this green, and here on the right, you can see where this color is like located. So if I'm like moving it around, as you can see, it changes just a little bit. But if I go to the yellow, you can see, let me make it bigger for you. It went here, so it's like actually like an orange. Here you can see it's moved to the blue, like bright blue, dark blue, or you can have like a very dark blue, green, yellow. So if I want to make this wall the same as the green one, you can just select it here. And now we can use this selection tool. So I can use the magic wand. I select the black area. Remember, if you, for example, don't have this option clicked contagious, probably it will select the jumper of those 2 or 3 people. Yeah, you have to click here. So yeah, right now it doesn't make it because the tolerance is very small, but if the tolerance is bigger, oh, okay, it's not happening because there are like different layers. But if we make them the same layer, oh, okay, I will later show you how to make them the same layer. But in case of those people, right now I'm working on that layer. If I want to select just this one person, most probably 3 of them will be selected. Yeah, as you can see, because first, it's not contagious. Now I have just this. And then you can, of course, work with tolerance. So, okay, now I want to work with this layer. You have to click on that layer. I select here. Now it is selected. I have this color selected. And now I can use, for example, this bucket, paint bucket tool. This color is already selected. So I just click here. This smart object must be rasterized. Yeah, so it is a smart object right now. Now, if we rasterize it, we just click OK and you click again. And now it is green. And why do we have this black rectangle here? It is because it is a part of this original image. So what we can do, we can just click on it and we have to make sure that it's selected. So sometimes it's easier to actually select it on the layers. And you can click Ctrl X. And part of it is deleted, but it actually doesn't work in a way that we want. So sometimes you have to kind of think in advance. But even if you make any mistakes, like right now, and there are some problems, you already met them, you can just come back and then know, okay, that thing is going to be problematic. So I'm going to delete it. Oh, actually, it's not going to work. But yeah, that would take a while to explain. So in that case, there are like many different ways how you can solve your problems. I think in this situation, the easiest way of what we can do is just create a new layer. So now I'm working on the new layer. I click the bucket, and now on the new layer, it's happening. So it's like a completely new independent layer that I can move around. Okay. Here are some other tools. Um, this one is actually quite funny. Uh, I like how you can really transform the reality. So let's say we want this person and this person be on a date together, but there is this person in the middle who is kind of ruining their date. What you can do, you can just click this tool, which is called Spot Healing Brush tool. And if you select this person and try to select only this person without selecting the other people, and here we have to be very careful. Okay, and the hair. And remember also the area in the middle. And we can select the shoes another time. Or maybe we can do this right now. So I'm still holding this tool. And now once everything that I want to disappear is selected, I just release. I wait a second. Oh, actually, it's not going to work. Why? Because I was working on the wrong layer. That's why it's important to always choose the proper layer. So let's do this again very quickly. Select the person, the shoes. It's okay that we do this on a branch because Photoshop is smart enough to later make a part of that branch. Okay, so now that person is selected. Now you just release. Oh my gosh. Okay, so sometimes it works in a unexpected, weird way. So as you can see right now, we weren't able to delete that person. Uh, but yeah, maybe let's try with the shoes of that person. We have one, let's try again. We have a part. Okay, now it disappeared. So this thing, it doesn't work like properly always because usually we use it for small objects. Uh, so I can show you like a better example. Let's say that you are working on this project, but you want to leave it and you have like too many layers and you want to work on something separate. So you can go to your files. And for this example, I think it will be best to choose this person, this image. Or maybe we can use this. Yeah, let's use the living room example or whatever it is, a room. So you hold it and instead of dropping it here, because if you drop it in here, that image will become one of the layers. But if you drop it in here, then that will be a separate project. So now I'm working on a separate project. And right now, let's say that I don't like this detail. So you are here. Now this selection is too big, so I can make it smaller. Okay, that's small enough. And this tool usually works best if the background around it is similar. So in here, we have like this gray area around. So if I select it, that should disappear without any problem. Yeah, as you can see, it looks like it's never been there. And why it happened like this in a weird way here? Because around it, we had this person and this person, like let's say that those are irregular shapes and like it's irregular background. That's why something like this, like a weird thing happened. But if, for example, we were here and there was like a little painting in here, whatever, if we use this tool, you can just make it bigger here. It would disappear because everything around is the same. Okay, so this time we weren't able to finish this date. We just created something weird. Uh, if you want to try this a little bit more, then we can actually play a little bit more here. So let's say that we want this to disappear. You can just click and it disappeared. We want this painting to disappear. You click and it disappeared. Oh, yeah, as you can see, there were some other areas that were too close. So sometimes you can just try again, and the next time it might actually do this in a proper way. Sometimes it's not happening. So sometimes you have to do this in a different way, or you can like keep trying. But sometimes, as you can see, the result might be not like the way that you want it to be. Okay. But in here, for example, with mm, this window or a mirror, whatever it is, it should work properly. So you just select an image and you wait a second. And important thing, when you select it, make sure that you select the whole object, because right now I left a little bit on the top and I left a little bit in the middle. If you leave it, then Photoshop kind of says, okay, that thing has to stay there and I have to kind of continue what is already there. So now weird things will happen. Yeah, as you can see, something like this just happened. Okay. And now I can show you another cool AI tool. Uh, so now this is like one of the best AI things that happened, in my opinion. If you select an object and then you can, here's like a generative fill. Now I was trying to delete that painting, but I wasn't able to. What you can say, you can just write it here. Delete the painting. Uh, and you just click enter. Usually it takes like, yeah, 10 seconds, 5 seconds. You just wait a moment. And sometimes it makes it much, much better than you would be able to do this. Yeah, as you can see, let's see different options. Now it looks like this painting was never there before. What you can do instead, like for example, you can select this area again. And let's say you want something to be on the floor, and you can say, okay, generate a fill, and you can say, what can it be? For example, put there a dinosaur. Uh, and you can say that, for example, it can be blue dinosaur. You can be very wild with your imagination, and you can also like write blue dinosaur wearing maybe with a hat. Sometimes when your description is very complicated, it might confuse AI, but this, I think it's simple enough. So we should have three interesting versions of dinosaurs wearing a hat. Let's see. There you go. So we have this one, we have this one, and you have this one. I think the first option was the coolest. So now we have this image in here. So you can make like whatever you want in here. You can add different things with this AI tool. Okay, other tools. Right now we will leave this project behind. Let's focus on this one so that there is something new to try. Mm, So here we have this, we've just tried it. There are like different options of using it. Uh, so all of them work in a pretty similar way. So we are not going to get into that much detail. Now we can move forward and try the brush tools. Um, so if you choose the color, let's make, for example, red. Here you can change like the color and you can choose how bright you want it to be or how dark or how much color you want there to have or how little. Yeah, let's put it, for example, here and let's make it red so it will be like a brown. Yeah, so now I'm able to paint like this. It's staying like a little bit behind. And here you can change with the way how you use the brush. So I'm going to do this very briefly because with brush, like if you are an artist, then you can really do a lot of stuff. And we are slowly getting to the end of our session, so I will do this quite briefly. The most important thing here, you can change the size, you can make it very big, or you can make it very small. Here you can change the hardness. So now, because it's like 100% hardness, the edge is looking like this. But if we make the hardness very small, for example, here we have 6%. Now it will be like soft. It's like a spray. So it basically says how sharp is the edge. You see? Okay. Let's delete it. Okay. Mhm. The other things that you can do, there are like different modes. You can just play with it. They will give you different surprises. A very important one is opacity. So now if I make a line like this, the other one, if I change the opacity to like 39%, it will be, as you can see, like only partly covering what is under it. So depending how much is there of that opacity, it can give you like different effects. And by the way, the similar effect you can have like if you make the opacity like 100%, so it completely covers your image. But because we are doing on a different layer, here you can change the opacity. So as you can see, even if you've done like the design that you were working for a while and you want it to be like partly like transparent, you can just change it on the settings of your layer. So that's opacity. Now let's try the flow, but I have to wait. Okay, let's try it right here. Here is the flow. Let's see what is the flow. Oh yeah, so basically it shows how often a dot is being put. So if we make it very rarely, we will see dots being put like very gently and with bigger time distance. Oh wait, I think actually the time distance is not changing. It's just, yeah, it's just how much of this pigment is being put on the image at a time. Okay. And let's delete it again. Control Z. Here are different type of brushes. Wait, where are they? Mode normal. Oh yeah, so here, if you click this icon, you can use like different brushes and there are like really a lot of them. So if you are an artist, I really recommend you to play with it. And that will allow you to create not only like a basic lines, but you can have a lot of really diverse effects. Okay, so I think for now, this is everything. Uh, as you can see, there are still some more tools to explore. But for now, this is everything. What I want to invite you to do is to try and do some designs by yourself. So you can do like different types of things, but if you are one of those people who actually need like specific instructions that then I prepared a specific instruction. Let me just find it here, Photoshop training here. So here's the homework. I want you to try to design the poster. Design a poster inviting for an event, something very aesthetic and eye-catching. So in that case, it will be an poster inviting people for an exhibition. Just include those informations. So that will be the title of your exhibition. What is it? What are the times? Where is it happening? And you can also include this QR code that people can scan to have more information. In order to do this, just to quickly show you, you can start from the beginning. So you can just click File, New, and you click here A4, or you can go like with A3, whatever you want. For the poster that will be vertical, you just click Create. You don't have to change any settings in here. And then you make your poster here. One thing that we didn't discuss, but it's very simple. If you click here, here are the titles, the typing. So you can add the letters. So if you just select, it usually gives you some things to already show you an example how it looks like. So if you just delete it, you can click Ctrl A and delete it. And just type exhibition. And it basically works the same as the layers. Here you can change what type of font you want to use. So you can keep playing with them. Yeah, there are many. Oh, remember that it has to be selected. And then you would be able to use different fonts. Here you would be able to change the size of it, small, big, big, small. This is like pretty similar to us working with any like documents. Here you can change the color, and here are some more options in case if you need to use it. So please create a simple design, simple poster. And at the end, this is also very important. Once you are happy with your design and you want to save it, then this is how you do this. You go to File, and there, okay, so if you click Save, what you are saving is not just the image, but you are actually saving like this project. So you will save like uh, the separate layers and all the like kind of settings that you've put there. You basically save the Photoshop project if you click Save. So that's also important to know. You just click where do you want to save it. So I choose the Photoshop training. You give it a name. So I will call it test with dinosaur. Dinosaur. Okay. And here you have like different options. Usually you go with this one, PSD, and you click save. So now if you close this thing right now, it's closed, but it's safe in your files here. So if you click it, you will be able to come back to it. But as you can see, it's a project. But if you want to save an image of what you can see, you can click export or save a copy. But let's go with the export. And here's export, export as. And here we can see a preview. If you want to save it, you can save it as PNG, JPEG. I want to save it as JPEG. You can choose the quality. So if I want with the highest one, here's the file size. If it's like a very small one, the quality, of course, will be not that good. You can see it here. but the size will be very small. But we want to like very high quality. And then this, you don't need to change it. You just click export. You choose where you want it to happen. So I want to go to, where is it? Downloads, Photoshop training, and you can call it test with dinosaur X. And this is being saved as a JPEG, save. And now, as you can see, we have our dinosaur here, and we have the Photoshop project here. So if you want to ever change it and like still have all the layers with then everything is here, and then you are able to generate different images. So that's everything for today. I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that it was clear enough. If you have any questions, something wasn't clear, then in 2 days on Friday, there will be the next training. You can prepare some of the questions. You can experiment by yourself. This is the best way to actually learn how to use Photoshop. And then, of course, you will meet some obstacles. Just write them down and you can ask those questions to me, and I'm happy to help you on the next session. Okay, just to remind you, this training was a part of collaboration with Manane Cultural Trust. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Friday, and yeah, thank you. All the best and good luck with learning Photoshop. It's a very powerful tool. You can do a lot of amazing things there. And right now with the AI extension, you can really get really wild with your imagination. Bye.